Testing, testing, testing. 1, 2, 3. If you can hear me, leave me a 1 in the chat. I'm gonna check on my phone while I wait for your response, and we'll see how this goes. Let's see here. Where is that other window? Clear. All right, there we go. I just want to make sure that my audio is coming through correctly. All right. So I just got back from the store and I decided to, I know it's in my area, it's 10:21 at night. So I decided to check the mail and I got a letter. But give me a minute, pause on that thought for a second. All right, so the audio is coming through correctly. So let's see. Let's keep it rolling. Let's keep it rolling. All right. So as of late, I've been running into people who have been trashing men left and right, up, down, whichever way you want to go. And it's disheartening, right? For a man who pays his child support every week, I pay weekly, on time, every time, comes directly out of my check. Wasn't given the option to pay it on my own. They just went ahead and started garnishing me, right? I'm not a deadbeat. I didn't waste time or BS to people to the point where they had to garnish me. I understand if you're just bullshitting them like, hey, give me another week. I understand that, right? I wasn't even given a chance. The letter that they gave me with the judgment, they sent that directly to my employer. Because I have a regular job. I got other things to do besides YouTube, but I do this as a therapy thing for me. Because if I don't get this shit off my chest, who knows what I do? I'd probably explode, right? But what prompted this is what I said in the beginning. So for me, I checked the mail. It's 10 something at night. For some reason I said check the mail. Otherwise, I would have waited till the morning or when I got off work the next day. Because the only thing that comes in, nothing good comes in the mail. You just get a bunch of bills, a bunch of BS, whatever. Like, ain't no checks coming in the mail no more these days. Let's be honest. But I saw a letter from Georgia. I don't live in Georgia. I live on the opposite side of the country, on the West Coast. My child support battle goes through 2 different states: the state I live in and the state where my children reside. Little known fact, you can't enforce the laws where you live on a person who lives in another state. And what I mean by that is that if my child support is in Georgia, they can only request from the state that I live in, because of federal law, that they apply their child support rules to me. Because you can't hold anyone accountable for a law in a state that you don't live in. Now, if you catch a traffic ticket or something like that, and you're in another state, yeah, they can do that. They can suspend your license. They can do a bunch of stuff. They can royally screw you over if you catch a traffic ticket in that state. But when it comes to civil laws and stuff like that, you can't enforce laws like that on people who don't live in your state. and they know it. So using the federal law, using the federal laws, that's how they're able to apply it to me. So for me to fight with the family court system, I got to go through two different states. I got to go bring a case in the state where my children reside, and then I got to bring the results of that case and then fight it in the state where I live. This is what we call interstate child support. It is a pain in the ass to deal with, because not only do you have to deal with one court system, you have to deal with a whole different court system, and their rules may or may not match up. Some things are in line with each other, some things aren't, is what I mean by that. So I've shared my story on TikTok, but I don't think I've shared my story on YouTube. So that's what I'm here to deal with right now. So give me a second. Let me check let me check and see where I'm at on the live on my phone, and give me a minute. I'll be right back. And I'm back. So for those of y'all that are here who are watching the live stream, I'm gonna let you know how it really is, because I don't see a whole lot of dudes. I see people post videos on how to get out of child support. I've seen videos on ducking the system, not necessarily ducking the system, on protecting yourself, but you're gonna hear a live testimony from me. So for me, my ex left in 2016. No warning, no nothing. She just bounced. And I get a phone call later. She was supposed to be visiting her family, and she told me she wasn't coming back. So I went to JAG. I was currently on active duty. I went to JAG. I went to a bunch of different legal offices trying to get help with the situation, and I explained my case. Like, look, this is what happened. I was out at NTC. I came back. She went to go claim she was going to visit family and never came back. So I called my ex-father-in-law, mother-in-law, whatever, trying to figure out what's going on. They ain't seen her. They haven't seen her at all. She told me she was going to visit them, and she didn't. Now, mind you, I'm not an abusive person. I'm not a narcissist. I'm not any of the bad things that you could attribute to people who go through this. Because I know what's going to pop up in the comment section that, hey, what did you do wrong? Was there some abuse or whatever? There's always some stupid ass excuse like good men that don't exist. I went to all my children's games. When I got off of work, I picked them up from practice, recitals, whatever. Dance class. I mean, I was there for everything. As opposed to my ex-wife, who barely made time to go to any of the children's events. She would schedule them for these events and not really support them. She would pay the money for them to go to these things because, you know, I was paying all the other bills. I couldn't afford it based on my salary from the military. But I made sure that everything was paid. 2 car notes, light bill, gas, water, whatever it was. I paid I paid 95% of everything. The only thing she had to do was buy food. I made sure there was gas in the car. I provided to the best of my ability. Almost 100% of my paycheck went to supporting the household, minus my small habits. You know, I used to smoke back in the day, so, you know, it is what it is. I would say that maybe accounted for maybe 5% of my spending. I would buy maybe a bottle of alcohol every 2 weeks. So, excuse me. And maybe some cigarettes in between. I mean, and that is the absolute truth. But to be done like I've been done, like I didn't participate in the things that's going on. It's ludicrous to me. And I see so many men go through the same thing. I've seen people express their stories in their comment section, and you would see that people are opposed to what the men are saying. It's almost like every man who's gone through something bad is because they deserved it. It's like it's automatically assumed that these men deserved it, and that's not right. Just like there are good men in this world, good women in this world, rather, there's bad women in this world. There's always the opposite side to everything, but our society tries to view all men as good. So excuse me. Excuse me. I'm tired, man. It's like I've been up since 4 o'clock this morning. I got to go to bed here soon, so I'm gonna try not to keep this too late. But my experience with the child support system has been one from a adversarial position. Everybody in the system treats all men the same. It doesn't matter what you've gone through, even though I've explained my story. I've showed my receipts. You get blamed for every damn thing that goes on. And granted, we're men. We're supposed to accept responsibility for our successes as well as our failures. But when you got people who go out of their way to ensure that you're going to fail, what are you supposed to do as a man? In family court, lies were allowed. My ex said that I didn't support them since 2016, but in my state, they can only go back a year as far as support goes. So she was able to swindle an additional 14 grand back in 2019. So when I got placed on child support, even though she left on her own accord, she was able to come to the system and get cash and prizes. And you know what? After I got that, I was like, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and file for divorce. We were separated. It's one of the things I made a comment in Bernard Riley's post about brothers being hooked up on child support, even though they're not the biological father. If you played a fatherly role, you can be hooked up for doing that. In my state, if you spend more than 4 years with a child that isn't yours, you're going to be assumed to be a father, and you will be on support for that child. But my case is different. I had spent 16 years in this marriage. Our oldest children were out of freaking high school by the time she filed support, and they weren't even my biological children. But my quote unquote biological children, I got to pay support for, to the tune of $1,300 a month. And they've been hostile to me ever since. Even when I called my caseworker, straight hostile. And I had to ask, like, well, why are you so hostile to me? I keep a job. I don't complain about anything. I'm probably the easiest case you got going on because I don't say much. I just pay them. I just let the money roll out of my check and I keep it moving. In case you're wondering, I pay $1,300 a month. $1,300, sometimes more than that. If the month has 5 weeks instead of 4, I'm paying an additional $300 a week. So I feel the pain of the brothers on the internet saying this, but for the people who are on the other side receiving child support or who've never been a part of the system, I see a lot of opinions about what brothers should be paying as far as child support goes. And it's crazy to me. If you don't have any experience with the system, shut the entire fuck up. You have no idea how painful it is, how much stressful it is when you got to pay additional money out of your pocket to support your children who should have been in the same household as you. We are better together as co-parents than we are separate. No matter how you slice it. For me, it's $300 a week. That's what I pay. You got folks talking about they only getting $50 a month, $40. Nah, that's not me. I don't fit that category. I make enough to where I can afford to spend the $300. It still hurts, but I can afford to spend the $300 a week. Even when I'm not working as a contractor and I go on unemployment, that money comes out of my unemployment. There's no limit to where they take the money from. They take it from your tax returns. When that 14 grand shit happened, I wasn't making a lot of money, so they took my entire tax return. It was 10 grand. When she lied when we went to court in 2019, at the end of 2019, she got the 10 grand out of my taxes. I didn't get a tax return. I was slated to get 10 grand. She got that. She got the stimulus checks, 2 of them. The third one she didn't get. Thank God. Because I was out of work because of COVID and things were shut down. I was looking for some type of relief. Even though I was getting, unemployment, they were still taking money out of that. And then to get the additional 14 grand that year, she got a whole year to support and plus support at the same time. Like it was nothing. Now, I'm no ball player. I'm not balling out of control. But it hurt. Not to mention I remarried at the end of 2020. And it seemed like the attacks through the court system ramped up. She was so vindictive. She couldn't go after me through the child support system. I was paying that on time. So she decided to bring other court cases, try to overturn our divorce and undo my current marriage. Crazy, right? I got the paperwork to show it. But again, I say to the people who don't have anything to do with this system, you giving your opinions on what you think, we don't give a damn about what you think. This system is trash. Even though I filed complaints about being able to see my children, they fall by the wayside. Nobody wants to do anything about it. So I'm out $1,300 a month. And I can't see my children. You got brothers out here who are suffering, who are making the bare minimum on child support. Some of them are allowed to see their children. I'm not. And I pay more than 90% of the men who are on child support. Hell, the women who are on child support don't pay anything and they don't get penalized. It's a terrible system. I can't even take a vacation because if I do, I'm going to fall behind on support. And once you get so far behind, you're going to end up in jail or subject to additional garnishments. Take your taxes. I pay more than the average person per week in taxes. I think the last time I looked, it was like my last paycheck, I got $700 taken out in federal taxes. More than half the child support I pay. Like crazy, right? It's absolutely insane. But eventually it's going to come to an end. See, my ex can be as vindictive as she wants, but it's going to come to an end. My youngest son turned 18 this past November. Graduates in May. 44 days from now, his support stops. And I can't freaking wait. That's going to put $300 per week. No, wait, correction. Around 150 per week back in my pocket. Like, the system is screwed up. Because when they were living with me, it didn't cost that much as an extra expense to maintain children. I had a whole system for it. I had a whole budget. Because where I live, they live, and we all share the same bills. Even though I'm paying them all, we all share the same bill. But when you guys support two whole households, because we live in two different states, that amount of money is probably paying this chick's rent and maybe some utilities. $1,300 where I live pays maybe half your rent, if that. So I say all that to say this. Child support is a scam. If there was a way, I think the court laws, all these things should be changed to where that parents can meet in the middle. Because not only do I have to pay for things in my house, I got to pay for things at their house to maintain the sort of living, the same living standard. And it's fucked up because only men have to deal with this. She makes nowhere near, which is one of the reasons why my child support is so high. She makes nowhere near what I do at all. And she refuses to work just to keep it that way. I'm pretty sure if she works, it kind of evens out what my obligation is supposed to be. And it's messed up that folks are doing that to people. Instead of get it on your own, get it your way. Because if the kids had lived with me, I would be footing 100% of the bill. No problem, no questions asked. I mean, it's gotten to the point where when I was listening to Mr. Palmer's stream a couple years ago, it's hard to love a bill. And that's where I'm at. My veins are ice cold. I just pay the money and keep it moving. Because there's nothing I can do. The courts won't help you. Good luck trying to compromise with an individual who hates your guts even though they did you wrong. And for the life of me, I don't understand why such things happen. Like, you do wrong and then you get pissed off at everybody else and you use the system against the folks who are in the right. This is why things like the 4B movement won't work. Why feminism has failed. Because beyond a shadow of a doubt, we are I want to say codependent species. And we need each other above anything else. My wife needs me. My current wife needs me. And I need her. There are things that she can do that I can't. There's things that I do that she can't. I take care of everything, the bills and all that stuff. She takes care of home. We don't have any children together, nor do we foresee children in our future. Because both between the two of us, our kids are grown. And she's rocked with me like a wife is supposed to. My ex, not so much. I remember one time she wanted to send the children to live with me after they got out of control. I said no. Because had she did what she was supposed to do, we could have split up and co-parented just fine. But since she took it upon herself to fly across the country, not my problem. I wipe my hands of the situation. Now, you and your folks who advised you can take the brunt of it. Y'all took that responsibility out of my hands. Own it, live up to it, and that's it. But anyway, I gotta go to bed, man. I gotta get up here in a couple hours. Thank y'all for tuning in. Thank you for listening. And I'll see y'all on the next one.